I think it's time, folks. Welcome to another fun H-Park meeting where we engage in all sorts of interesting conversations. I'm using the agenda that was issued to H-Park commissioners. We just have one set of minutes. I have no announcements, sorry about that. And we just have one set of minutes to review, which is from March 7th. We do have 2 February minutes, but they weren't submitted to H-Park in time so that we can review them. So we'll do that next month. Anyone have any questions, corrections, or anything for the...
No, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Of March 7th, 2024.
Yes. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, abstained, nothing? Minutes approved as submitted. And next we have on the original agenda that was issued, the first applicant was withdrawn, and so we're going to jump right into C2. And I want to make a correction to the description because it says discussion and possible action on H5-24 on behalf of Carl and Cynthia Opderbeck. Did I get that right? Oh, wow. For a second floor addition. It's actually a 2-story addition.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not a second floor. 2-story addition to the back of the home, non-contributing. Property is located at 28 Shipcarpenter Square, Sussex County Tax Map 335, 8.07-320.00, zoning R-4H, 28 Shipcarpenter Square. Who is going to come up and present, or whoever, either, both of you can come up and sit at the table with the mic. And when you first sit down, if you could give us both your names and address.
Cynthia Opderbeck, 28 Shipcarpenter Square, in Lewis.
All right, and great. You want to tell us a little bit about your project, what you're doing, why you're doing it?
Sure. It's a 2-story addition off the back of the house. So there'd be a bedroom below and kind of a studio above.
Mm-hmm.
Some storage areas, but the usable room for
Okay,
projects.
good. Everybody needs those spaces. Yeah. Well, we have a complete application. And does anybody want to start with any
Sure.
questions?
I will,
Okay.
actually. Yeah, first off, I'd like to just say I do recall your submission previously
Okay.
to that property, and you've done a very, very lovely job
Oh, thank
on
you
that,
so much.
that corner lot. I see that you're proposing to use the cedar siding, natural materials, and all of the materials that you're proposing to use have been previously approved on the structure, including the windows and the roofing material and what have you. I know you also added the garage on the back part of the circle there too, and that blends in very, very nicely. And I think that this addition also will complement that part of the street view as you're going through Shipcarpenter Square. The other thing that I think is quite sensitive to differentiating this new addition to the structure itself is the use of the cedar shake on the addition. It clearly delineates between the existing structure, and I think that that's very, very nice. The only question I had was you have a spec sheet in there for the door, the entryway into the first floor section of the house, and I was just wondering from what's been submitted here, it looks a bit. I'm not quite sure whether it is as compatible with the house as something else might be. It seems to be more of a Art Deco, Art Nouveau
Yeah, it is a little fancy.
style.
It's kind of a Frank Lloyd Wright-ish.
Or prairie style too, yeah.
Yeah.
But with the little curves in it.
On the architectural drawing, it shows a front door that appears to be similar to the front
The front
door on the
door.
other side of the house, maybe with a couple more windows.
Oh,
On the-
you mean the back door onto the porch, which is a window door, is that what you're thinking?
No, well, I thought it was the front door. Maybe it's a back door, but it's,
It
faces-
confusing in there with the,
yes, it is. It's the,
This drawing right here, can you, it should be bottom left.
well, that's the addition.
Right.
And I was saying, yeah, this seems more compatible with the structure than that.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, the existing, which shows up in the photograph,
Right.
in the photographs, which would be this door.
Right.
that was the, closest I could find. We just wanted to do a door, we may not even do that side light,
Yeah.
which is the door with the glass to provide more luminous light. But
It seems like it doesn't belong to this house. It needs to belong to a contemporary house.
yes, I know exactly what you're saying. Well, we would do, now the back door we have, it goes out to the porch, which is a
Okay.
glass door.
Okay, yeah, there's no picture of that.
Well, you know, it probably is not obvious from that.
That
You
can't be
can't see
seen
it
from the
'cause it's
street,
inside the porch.
inside the porch.
So,
No,
No,
well,
it can't be-
well,
can't be-
well, it might be
we
Yeah.
can do
from the
something
back.
very simple,
Yeah.
we just want a door with a glass in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought that room was a master bedroom,
It is.
Yeah.
and you'd like a glass door so we can wave.
It's the privatest place in the yard,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I'd have something on it,
Yeah.
it's just great to have all that light.
Okay,
Well, it might be nice just to have a panel door with the glass inserts where the certain panels are as well to allow, the light to come in as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
But no,
That's
that,
what the back
yeah,
door is.
that's the only comment I have specifically.
yeah,
to this plan, but I
or
think-
something similar to the windows, with the multiple,
Right, with the panes.
yeah.
And that is exactly what our back door looks like, so that's probably what we'll do, is something simple. I had seen that and I thought that was a cool door.
It is a cool
And
door.
the door is green, I thought I'm throwing that on there.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is a great door. I'd love to have that too, but I'm not allowed where I live either.
But if it doesn't quite fit, we can do something just real simple with just the panes.
Good.
Okay.
All right.
Does anybody else have any questions?
No,
I'd just like some clarification, just so you know, for being a new person here, we don't discuss these applications amongst ourselves before we come, so this is a place where I get to ask questions. One of the questions I had is, on the inside of Shipcarpenter is a Shipcarpenter Square right-of-way. Is that a city street? Is that considered a street from which we look at? Because then, I was trying to figure out, what's the front of their house, what's the back of their house?
Well, it's viewed from both streets, because both are public. So that all
So the
Shipcar-
inside is considered a public street?
Yes, I mean, for our purposes.
Okay.
For H-Park purposes. We don't get into the definitions the city provides, because that's another subject completely.
Oh, absolutely.
And.
It is a city street.
Okay, it is a city street. right,
Okay.
it does.
Because-
And
Okay.
also, a lot of the houses, by design, are actually facing out. Whether they're on Fourth or Third or Park or Burton, those are, by architectural design,
They are
the
all
fronts.
facing out.
They're
Yes.
all facing out.
Or
And
except the ones on the inside, see face into the mall.
Correct.
When you're
That's
looking at
right.
Shipyard,
Yeah.
You're looking at everybody's back door.
yeah, so
And
that's,
and this one, of course, being on the corner, is that much more complicated.
Right.
It's more complicated,
well, it's got a
absolutely.
pie-shaped property, so it's, it's more challenging for setbacks and everything with the pie. Yeah, so this is, I think what you've done is just, great way to solve those problems.
My only question would be, when I'm looking at the 6-foot portion of the addition that, on the side with the chimney, that, sticks out there, I want to just make sure I'm clear on what that's going to look like from
The street.
Burton Avenue.
That would
So,
be,
so I'm not using the
That
word
was-
front, I'm gonna just say from the street, from, yeah, I just,
From Burton.
do you have
There-
your elevations?
Yeah, there's an
'Cause it's
elevation
the
here,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
saw-
see that.
North elevation, top drawing,
Right here.
on your
Right,
elevations.
on
The top
There's
drawing,
north
north
elevation.
elevation,
Right here.
that's Burton.
It's that small roof
Right,
here. and
the
then-
except
shed light
the part that sticks, that goes,
comes out toward.
Has a small window.
yeah, we're seeing the side of it, yes, I understand that, but
So
the
it's-
actual, this angle,
Oh, from the,
from, imagine you're standing by the chimney.
Oh, that would be from Fourth Street then.
It would be like right here.
Well,
No, it would be Burton.
well, on
it would be
the,
Burton according to the map.
That'd be Burton.
So is that just,
Um,
is it on the same
Well,
as the
it's-
backside, which is all shingle?
It's the opposite side of
Of this-
east elevation.
or is there a window at all?
There is
On the north elevation, there
there's
is.
a window in the bathroom,
Right,
but it is on the, Shipcarpenter's side. If you look at the design.
Yes. so, all right, so it is just a plain wall that's going to be
Exactly.
facing,
And it sticks out about twice as far as the chimney's depth.
that's, yes, that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not.
It looks like 3.3.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Um,
But it will be plain.
okay, and is that, having the plain addition facing the street, is that, something that we are okay with, or,
I am.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
have any
yeah.
problem. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna look the reverse of this east
that.
elevation,
Right here.
so it's
Okay.
it's small in scale compared to the whole addition.
Yeah.
And,
In fact, I'll add that I thought that that actually adds to
Interest.
the
yeah.
the interest of the
Yeah.
building. If it
Mhm.
were just a wall all the way down, I would have thought, ooh, that's a big wall. But I thought that was a very nice way of breaking that up a little bit and bringing it to a more human
It's this
scale.
elevation, right, yeah.
I mean, not that it's a huge house overall, but it's,
but I think the addition's a very nice proportion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it
Proportion,
is
yeah.
too.
Yeah, I think it's very sensitive.
Ready? Ready?
Oh, well, I don't know. Anybody else have any questions?
I had no other questions than this.
Oh, I think so, right?
the
Okay.
material choice is very good, and thank you. If we all remember, we've seen that house evolve over time in a very positive way.
Oh, good.
Did you, are you gonna do
We brought them to.
Yes, the door.
Anybody needs to
the,
see
yeah,
this,
but
what
I,
do you think?
yeah,
Which is what's on the house
Oh,
now.
this?
Good,
And that's
thank you.
the example of
Right here.
the shapes, just what you think.
yeah.
Yes.
That's very thorough, thank you.
Okay.
I know, where's the-
Very few people do that, and it's a nice, if anyone else is listening, it's a nice addition to do that.
Yeah.
Has it changed?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to make a motion that because the application concerns a property that's located at
Excuse me, Madam
20,
Chair, before the motion, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
Did you want to take public comment?
yes, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, I'm sorry. I have to stop you right now. I have to go to my comments. He wants us to paper.
oh, well, I think it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to start with this meeting, asking for anyone who wants to make a public comment, particularly about this application, just about this application. If they had anything to add, any information, just don't feel you're compelled, you have to speak. We're not trying to make it a longer meeting than necessary, but we do want to give the opportunity to anyone in the audience.
Barbara, I would also suggest you ask for online comments in case
Yeah.
someone's attending that way as well.
Okay, is anyone online? that
No,
would-
okay.
Okay,
There's no one online?
good enough.
Okay, takes care of that. Okay, no one? You raising your hand? No, yeah, no, okay,
It's a tough crowd here.
okay, all right, you can go ahead.
All right. Because the application concerns a property that is located at 28 Shipcarpenter Square, tax map 335-8.07-320.00, has used previously approved materials and conforms with the rhythm and scale of the street, and is in the historic district, and is non-contributing. I move that the application be approved with the following changes, and that is the rear door, as we talked about before, more stylish to the house.
And just have to add that when you make a final selection on that door, if you submit it to the city, and we'll review it as a chair and staff, won't require another meeting.
Okay,
We just want to have it in the file.
okay. You know, one thing while we're on, I just realized too, you know, the back windows, both up and down, is one window at this point. And our architectural committee said that they would approve two adjoining, to just make a wider space with windows in there.
And what elevation is this?
Both,
Is this the short, is this the end wall of the new addition?
yes, the end wall, both up and down, so facing, you know, in the backyard there.
Right, so it's like, it's this elevation,
Yes,
which is the east addition? Instead of a single, there's going to be double windows there.
yes. And they even suggested, and thought that might be a way to get, see, originally we wanted a bay window.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they had said right away that it's not cool, the architectural door.
Yeah,
But, so that's fine, but then what we did in the gallery said to us, and head of our said, we could double those windows, we'd be fine with that.
mm-hmm,
And then that would kind of give you that space without being the outside.
And
right.
is that on both floors?
Exactly.
Okay, so there'd be
So they match.
four windows total on that,
Yes.
up and down, okay.
So
Madam
we
Chair,
have-
we
Yes.
do have a
Comment from the HO.
comment from the Shipcarpenter's ARC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's part of our
Referring to the-
packet, too.
There is an updated one that came in after.
Oh,
That is, if I may read it.
yes,
as
please do.
record.
Mhm.
It says,
I
"Dear
brought in 8 copies, John, for everybody. I don't know if it got around before.
Some packets already been picked up.
Okay.
Okay, so it says, "Dear Mr. Robitaille, my previous email of March 11th, 2024 stated our approval of Cynthia and Carl Opderbeck's, project with the proviso that the bay window on the first floor and the transom on the second floor be reworked. Since then, the Opderbecks have redesigned the rear windows to replace the large bay and double window with single double-hung windows on both floors. This is completely acceptable, but so are larger windows if the Opderbecks change their mind later on. For example, 2 double-hung windows side by side are also a possibility." And it's signed by Barbara Schuler, the SCS ARC chair.
Yeah, okay. To approve it, all right.
Motion on the table?
Yeah, I'm going to withdraw my motion
Okay.
and make a new motion.
Thank you.
And I'm sure I have it correct in my mind. All right, because this application concerns the property that is located at 28 Shipcarpenter Square, tax map 335-8.07-320.00, is non-contributing, uses previously approved materials, conforms to the rhythm and scale of requirements, and is in the Lewis Historic District. I move that the application be approved with the following changes, and that is the door that we talked about, simplifying that, matching the house, and the approval of 2 double-hung windows, replacing the single window on the second and first floor of the east elevation.
Second motion.
Okay, everybody's going to go around, and we're going to start with the person who made the motion and the second person, the person who seconded it, and explain, for the lawyer's sake, how we voted and why.
Well, it's very simple. I think you've got a really nice design. I think with the corrections that you made here this evening, that it'll fit into the community and the streetscape extremely well. So good job, well done.
Okay, and Richard?
And I would agree with the previous comments. I had not seen, your materials before this because I'm new to the commission, but I was very pleased when I went through this. I thought it was well proportioned. I go by your property all the time and could easily envision how this would fit in. And I appreciate your flexibility with issues like the door and things like that. So I think this is a very nice application.
Larry?
I approve the application as well for the reasons that have been articulated.
Deborah?
I approve the application for the reasons that have been stated.
Okay, and I too approve the application with the changes that will be submitted to, as a chair and staff for final approval.
And I too approve the
I'm
changes.
sorry,
I too approve the changes as well. And I think this is a very, very nice submission, very sensitive to the streetscape and the Secretary of the Interior standards.
okay. I agree with what Michael said, along with my previous comments. So it's a very nice project, challenging project for that site, I must agree, very challenging for the pie-shaped angled property lines, but I think what you did is extremely sensitive to the existing structure, and it should work out really well. Oh, we got a downpour. Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right. You're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your picture of the door and
And,
bring it by.
perfect. Yeah, just take it into John,
To John.
or, or City Hall, just to the front desk, I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, next we have the next applicant, which is discussion possible action on H-6-24 on behalf of Route 24 LLC. Nate Graulich, for exterior renovations for siding, trim, and deck, contributing structure. The property is located at 412 Kings Highway, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8.11-85.00, zoning R-4H. Welcome. So, tell us about your project.
Sure, my name is Nate Graulich. I'm the owner of Graulich Builders. I am the owner of the entity Route 24 LLC, which owns 412 Kings Highway. I purchased this property as an investment property. Did not initially have intentions of doing exterior renovations to it, but as I've gotten more into this house and renovation, have found structural issues, water infiltration issues, so now I am having to redo the exterior, which is why I'm here. The existing structure has all vinyl siding. It's completely non-conforming. Vinyl siding, aluminum fascia, aluminum soffits. So initially, I had gone to John and requested to just replace the vinyl siding. Just on the sides and rear, I was going to do cedar shape on the front anyway, because behind the siding, vinyl siding is asbestos siding. I did not want to have to deal with that and just reinstall vinyl over the top. But since vinyl was not allowed, I had to do a whole asbestos pavement as well. Behind the asbestos, I found wood lap siding as well, so there's 3 layers there. So now we are installing all new CDX plywood over that lap siding, the wood lap siding, and I want to install conforming exterior products to this. So that's why I'm here.
Is there any possibility the lap siding can be saved, utilized?
Not at all.
Really?
Yeah, not at all.
Wow.
There's rot. There's structural issues as well, so there are some areas that I have to remove some of the lap siding to fix some of the structural issues. So no, there's no salvage.
Are you going to remove all the lap siding?
Lap siding is staying.
Okay,
Lap
you'll
siding is
just,
staying, and I'm installing the CDX plywood over top of that.
okay. All right, who would like to start? Larry, you want to start?
I really don't have any questions.
Okay.
I went over and looked at it several times, and it seems like it's okay to me.
Okay. George, you want to-
I don't have any comments?
I had a question about it states that, a deck, but I don't see where that's located.
There's an existing front porch.
Right.
It's a concrete front porch right now. And I just wanted to install cedar decking over top of that with sleepers and cedar decking.
Oh, okay, so you're not talking about an additional deck in the rear or anything?
No.
So it's just, okay.
Yep, and then there's a side, set of stairs and a landing. This is it's a first floor and second floor apartment, is what it is, it's 2 units. So it's got a set of stairs and landing, and that was already approved for replacement, from John from the city. And that's all gonna be cedar, so I just wanna match the front porch with that.
That was a chair and staff review last fall.
There's no, usually, well, we request side elevations of structures so we know what they look like. There were none,
There are this pamphlet here, on the very back.
I don't think did we get that pamphlet?
I gave copies of all of this.
I don't. Where?
It's in the packet.
That's right here. Oh,
This,
No,
These
thi-
are
this is not
the
that
photo.
house.
no,
the house that left
No,
and
this is the
right.
house that sits next to it.
We don't have that.
We don't have that
We don't
now.
have that.
I made copies and dropped it off.
Perhaps could you, pass it around?
Absolutely. So this has, all the elevations of the house.
Because I think it's a house that we're probably all familiar with.
Yeah.
You've got some very special trees out front.
That's right, that's exactly right.
So my question on the side elevation, real quick, is that you have shutters on the front, and are they going to stay, or are they going
Those are
to?
being removed, those are vinyl shutters that are on there now.
Right.
They've already been removed. If I do end up putting shutters back, they would be conforming shutters. I
Okay.
like the blue, and I'd like to go back with the blue, and that was actually a question because I requested the standing seam metal roof for the front porch to be that same blue color.
That was denied as a chair and staff, and I had sent emails to John and a follow-up confirming that. Our recommendation is that something that's silver or gray that is more consistent with the metal roofs, some of the old metal steel roofs that are still around town on several structures, that it sort of be more of a fitting with that.
I mean, I don't mean to argue in any way to you all, but, I mean, there are a lot of standing seam metal roofs. I'm looking at one that's red right now behind us.
Yes, that was not, that was
Okay,
when our guidelines included a color review just for historic appropriateness.
okay.
I just have a question too. So you plan on using the hardy board on the sides, which is fine?
It's LP Smart
LP
Side.
Yeah, that's fine. And then cedar shake on the front.
That is correct.
And I was just wondering, because the sides are gonna be siding and then the front's gonna be shake, had you thought about just doing like a natural cedar lap siding on the front to sort of
Make more-
tie the sides together with the front?
I was doing it as an accent for the front elevation in a shake.
So it's just gonna be natural
It's
wood?
just gonna be natural, yeah, it's just natural cedar shake, just like that.
Okay, so is that looks like it has like a stain on it or something?
Yeah, it's called a semi-transparent, it's just it's a transparent stain that comes pre-finished on it.
And you have a sample of the blue color also for the siding? I haven't seen that either.
The siding is actually going to be, this is a sample of the LP Smart Side, it's a smooth finish, it's not wood grain. And this is the color, it's a gray color.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so that
They're very compatible.
looks like it will be compatible to
Compatible,
the
Yeah.
Yeah,
stained,
Yes,
shake,
they complement each other very nicely, the gray.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
okay.
and over time, I'm sure.
Better.
Mhm. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question only because I'm not quite sure how this works in H Park being new. It also calls for demolition of the old shed,
Oh, that is correct. Thank
which
you.
is a contributing structure.
Yes. Yes, and I meant to bring that up first.
Okay.
We don't have any information on the old shed, other than the site plan looks like it's on the adjacent property. Is that correct?
No, it is on
No, it's right on,
It's
it's
right
right
Yeah,
there.
it looks, on the site
It's
plan,
right
though, on the
behind.
survey, it looks, I
Yeah,
had the same
see,
question,
it's-
whether it was actually the
Yeah, you see it
garage or
sitting over
was.
here.
No, that's
It's
not
called
it.
shed.
No, it's called a garage,
It's
which
right
is
here.
not a
Okay.
garage.
It's right
Oh,
here.
It is, okay.
It's right
oh,
here.
Yeah, it's a little
that's
shed.
it.
It is a shed,
Oh,
yes.
okay. All right.
And there should be,
There is a picture, yes.
Yeah.
pictures.
There was a
It
picture.
is way beyond any repair. You don't even want to walk inside of it.
When was it built?
It's
probably
About
something.
1920.
In 1920, it's
1920.
identified in both the 92 survey and the most recent survey as
Mhm.
being a contributing structure.
What kind of materials are on the outside of it now? Are they
It's just a wood, like hardwood
It's time to
material.
remove them.
original
Yeah.
to when it was a garage or?
I would think so.
I would think
The-
that's original.
The framing
It's very
inside
similar
is
to
a
one next
timber frame,
Mm-hmm.
but it's basically
Know what you do with
on
this.
the left side, well, actually both sides, the left side's the worst.
Is that something
It actually
you-
has a dip that goes
Yeah.
down at least a foot, and that's because it
Yeah,
spans,
tax credit.
the beams, the top of it spans almost the entire way.
Doesn't-
There's like hardly any framing structure inside of it.
I wish we had pictures of the inside of it. I can see what you're talking about that clearly in the picture, though.
Mm.
There's no doors or windows, it's just open, and there's makeshift plywood doors in the front.
Yeah, I would minimally call this a garage. It's,
Yeah, I mean, I assume that the plywood doors on the front probably were replaced
Replace
something
yeah.
else.
something, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But perhaps the siding is original?
It could be,
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
gladly salvage it and donate it, but
Well, we have a,
We have a problem.
yeah, we have, we keep losing these small shed buildings for one reason or another. And so we encourage people to revisit that and see if they can't find another purpose for whether they move it to a different location on the site that might function better for them. Just because they represent part of the historic time frame of Lewis, when everybody had them, and now we have very few of them.
I completely understand it. The brush factory, when it first opened, I used to donate a lot of materials that we,
Okay.
from homes that we would demolish or renovate, so I'm very familiar with trying to
Yeah.
salvage what we can.
and I would imagine that your desire to remove this is to accommodate the parking requirement, because it's a duplex.
It does
Would that be correct? Because
Yes.
how many spaces, Janelle? 2? Required 4. Okay, that's,
2 per unit, so it'd be
Yeah,
a
okay,
total of
that's what I-
4.
right, and I don't know if it would accommodate with that without. So I
Could
would
be
kind of ask.
relocated, could be relocated.
Yeah, I would ask the question about relocating as well.
Mhm.
I know it looks rough, but,
I
Perhaps
think
it-
that you can relocate that. There's no foundation to it.
Mhm.
It's just posts that go into the ground, into the dirt.
Mhm.
I really, from a builder standpoint, I really don't think that you can relocate that. Somebody might be able to dismantle it and use what they can to rebuild.
it's hard for us though, because our job is to look at the streetscape.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
And
So-
if it's,
It's not, no, go ahead.
the, I don't know, it's, of course, I don't know if you have enough width in that driveway to get 4 cars in line so they can each get out if they want to. That's the other thing.
it's very strange when you look at the Sanborn map. That there is an outbuilding, but the location of the outbuilding appears to be closer towards the
To
rear,
the rear.
in alignment maybe with the shed on the neighboring property.
Oh, I thought it looked like it was all part of the house. It's not off to the side.
No, if you look,
I thought that was a shed.
Yeah, there's two sheds at the back. And I don't think that can be this garage because
No, I think that's
No,
the,
that was
what
this
shows up.
garage is much wait,
No, that's definitely closer because it's on the side, it's not behind.
and then what's really also confusing is that it looks like there was an additional, am I right?
I think.
No, never mind.
The house on the left had its own. This
I
one-
was wondering if there was an additional, porch or something on the rear, that's no longer there, but yeah, I don't think it looks like it's not, it doesn't look close enough.
Well, because it's contributing, we have to schedule a public hearing for next month for the shed.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a final,
I can provide additional photos.
that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
That would be extremely helpful, yeah.
And just for the record, just so that we can read the code, according to 19758, item I, historic district properties, is part of our review process for demolition or removal. If the structure or any part thereof is deemed to be contributing and therefore has historic or architectural significance, no demolition or removal of the structure from the premises may take place until after a public hearing. Presentation and approval of an application for construction, renovation, alteration, or reconstruction of the property shall be required prior to the approval to move and or demolish a building. And then there's another section as well, under 19759A, criteria 8. When homeowners of structures in the historic district designated as contributing make applications to H-Park, alteration or demolition, preserving the property will be H-Park's primary criteria in evaluating the application. The applicant shall have the burden of demonstrating that the alteration or demolition of the structure meets the purpose of this article and addresses the health, safety, and welfare of the immediate area. And then H-Park may require the applicant to submit both financial and construction details in support of any proposed demolition. So,
Okay, we can vote on this application minus the demolition.
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I have another question. So the fiberglass front door, can you supply a cut sheet of what that looks like? Sure. Yeah. And I think I just want to double check my notes here. We took care of colors. Oh,
Dimming of the lights
and the historic sills, are you sort of replicating, or are you keeping the wood trim historic
There
sills?
was no wood trim because it was all vinyl siding.
Oh, yeah, so don't keep.
The historic sill is a profile,
Yeah, with a slope sill.
correct. It's just a profile of, Versatex makes one, which is a PVC material. That's only going on the sides and the rear. So we're making that same profile to match up cedar for the front. So
Very good,
Very nice.
Yeah.
good, okay. Anybody else have any other questions? I think I've covered all my questions.
Are there any questions about the fence in the rear, or is that not something that H-Park?
Well, I think it's
manages?
existing. Is the fence in the rear existing? Are you doing anything with it?
Again, this project is kind of
The
evolving.
mushroom, yes, yes.
I like it.
So, yes, I now do have intentions of replacing the fence. It's just a chain link fence on the rear and side
Oh,
that I don't like at all.
you can't do that.
All right,
I can't do what, I'm sorry.
The chain link fence.
No.
No, it's
No, he's
existing chain
He's
link,
gonna replace it.
and he
But
wants
he's
to
got-
get rid of the chain link fence.
Yes.
right, but.
Yeah.
And
the-
replace it.
With cedar.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that'll be a chair and staff.
Right,
Just-
and correct me if I'm wrong, no, the fence is not in this application.
Correct.
So the subject of the fence is for another time, not now, okay.
Okay. The application just had a simple sentence that said cedar fence in rear, not really a sentence. And I thought, is there a cedar fence in the rear?
yeah, I think it's part of the agenda.
And I couldn't quite tell from the street.
So I think we
but-
need to address it.
What you're saying is you would like to put a cedar fence in the rear and get rid of the chain link? Okay. So that clarifies it for me.
Yeah, it was on this
It was
sheet.
on that application.
Yeah.
Yes.
My apologies, I didn't have it on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well,
we'll deal with that as a chair and
Yeah.
staff, yeah. Anyone else have any questions? I don't want to rush you, but if you still have anything.
Michael?
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion. It'll be, basically be broken down into two. I move first off regarding the demolition of the garage to propose we schedule a public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, comments from the public.
Comments, sorry. Does anyone of the public wish to make a comment about this particular application? Sure. Yeah, you have to come up and speak to the mic and give us your name and, yeah, sorry.
Leanne Wilkinson, do anything else?
Address, I think.
Oh, address, 2020 Savannah Circle.
Okay.
But if he moves the shed to the back corner of the property, does he still have to have a public hearing? If he would just agree to move it?
I believe so.
It's
He still
referred
has
to
to have it?
It's referred to as removal.
Pardon me?
When you move something, it's considered demolition.
Demolition.
Oh, because we moved the one that looked just like that was attached to the Market Street house to the back of the property, and I don't remember, maybe we did go to a public hearing, I don't know.
You probably did, yeah.
You think?
That was
Okay.
that was actually HPC, that wasn't H Park.
H Park,
But
yeah.
it does fit under the definition of what demolition is by the.
Okay, I was just trying to save him a step.
No, but I,
Thanks.
well, I mean, the public hearing is easy. It's, you know, saving the shed, which would be nice, because, you know, so many structures around Lewis have been moved, and frequently on no foundation, where they just put logs and they just rolled things down the street or to their neighbor's property. So, you know, they've been doing it for a long time. Give it some thought.
Okay, so because this application for 412 Kings Highway, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8 dot 11-85-00 involves two structures. The first structure is a
Try to get closer to the mic
Yeah.
now.
The first structure is a contributing garage. I move to propose that we hold a public hearing at the next H-Park meeting, first Thursday in May of 2024.
Okay,
Second.
yeah,
All-
okay.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, and then the second part of the application involves the actual residence itself at the same address. And I move to approve the application with the understanding that a cut sheet will be provided for the submission of the front door. And the fence will be
Addressed as a chair and staff.
addressed to the chair and staff.
Yeah, it's not even part,
Won't even part of, okay.
you can skip that one.
And the color of the roof is to be more appropriate to the roofs in the historic district here in Lewis,
Silver gray.
silver gray or what have you. So I move to approve.
Second.
Okay. The motion and second, going to go around the room. Did each-
Excuse me, may I ask you all to speak into the microphone
Oh,
as
sure.
close as possible?
Okay,
Because I'm afraid your secretary's not going to be able to.
oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
go-
please,
Thank you,
that's much
thank you.
better.
All right, going to go around the room, and Michael will start.
Because this particular application involves a contributing structure, is in the historic district. I believe this application is sensitive to the streetscape with what's being proposed, and the minor alterations being proposed will significantly add to the streetscape.
Who seconded? Did you second?
I second it, and I agree with those comments from Mr. Whiter. And I think it's great that the building is essentially being saved in so many different ways, but in a sensitive way, which I think is really important. I appreciate your clarification on some parts of the application, because I think it just made it much more clear tonight that, you know, it's acceptable and it does add to the historic district.
Larry?
I vote to approve the application for the reasons enumerated.
Okay. George?
I can't wait. I think you've got a great design. I drive by that house every day, and
Every day.
I'm just so excited for the improvements you're going to make. So thank you. It's going to be fantastic.
Okay. Deborah?
I also approve, it's a yes. And I think that the materials that you've selected will be an improvement over the present.
Yeah. I too agree to approve. I know it's not the project you thought you were going to do, and it's going to cost a lot more money than you wanted to spend, but I think you'll get good return on it. You know, those historic property does very well, and I think you're doing it in a very sensitive way, and you're following all the guidelines, and we really appreciate that. So,
Madam Chair, excuse me, this public hearing then would be May 2nd, our next meeting, May
Yes.
2nd at 6 PM.
yes. Mhm. Yes. This thing's falling apart. Okay, I think you're good to go, and you just have to submit the cut sheet on the front door, and we'll see you next month.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so next we have discussion and possible action and/or possible action to schedule a public hearing on H-7-24 on behalf of Elizabeth B. Wales for the demolition of the sunroom on the home contributing. Property is located at 507 Kings Highway, Sussex County Tax Map 335-8.11-157.00, zoning R-4H. Oh, there you are. You're here. I think we've all gone past the house. It was a little difficult to see the sunroom, and, but it is there, and less the trees and the fence, it would be very visible, of course, which is how the guidelines for H Park, how we decide what we view and what we don't view. So we will have to set a public hearing for next month, but tell us a little bit about the project so we understand the whys and the needs or whatever.
Yeah, well, the sunroom was built, I believe in 1986 by a previous owner, so the sunroom itself is not contributing. If we look at the Sanborn map and the historic map, the register, you know, it was not listed at that time, so that sunroom was put on sometime, you know, and it's a modern sunroom. It encroaches on the adjoining lot, and I don't know how they got approval back in 1986 to put a sunroom on another lot, but somehow they did. So it goes approximately 2 to 3 feet over on another lot, and we would like to take the sunroom off, restore the original side of the house. And what we propose to do is to take the windows, and I do have some pictures if you would like me to pass them around, your drawings, based on a blueprint drawing. So we would take the windows off the sunroom and put them on the wall of the house. And we would take the cedar shake off the sunroom and put that on the house. So the cedar shake would actually be new because that cedar shake is pretty worn at this point. So that's the proposal.
Okay, and so you don't own the adjacent lot then?
I do.
Oh, you do own it?
I do.
Okay, but it's never been deeded as a single lot?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
It's a single tax parcel.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just for the record, could you state your name, just so
Yeah,
that's
my
out
name is
there?
Beth Wells.
Yeah, okay. So, and just, so the shaded area on the side and the back, is that driveway? Is that what that is? Is it on the
No,
site?
that's,
Sure what
that
she's
is the
trying to
deck.
show us
The
here.
deck is also, some of that deck is gone,
Yeah, I think it's the
but that's all deck. So the
She's
deck
saying
would,
cedar shake.
the deck that is also on the other lot would, most of that,
Yeah, there.
rotted away years ago.
Oh, okay.
But any of the deck adjoining the house, adjoining the sunroom would also.
Okay.
They take it off.
You know, the only comment I really have is, it's a little tough because we don't have, a lot to look at. We are gonna have to go to a public hearing anyway, so
I have some pictures to pass around.
usually they're just in the packets
packet, yeah.
to refer to in advance.
Well, yeah, nobody, you know, this is, I'm new at this, and.
You know what, it's a hard process.
And nobody said this.
No, that's okay. So for next month, H Park will need a photograph, and do you mind if somebody just goes up to the fence to photograph the sun?
I have photographs right here.
Okay,
And, yeah, we've got,
We can take them now and then
Yeah.
we can just make copies.
Well, that, yeah, prepare that for the next meeting. Just an FYI, the deed on the adjoining lot cannot transfer with that encroachment on there. So, to correct that encroachment, that would have to be removed. So just keep that in mind.
so the house, once the sunroom is removed, the house will look exactly the same. Because all the existing materials that stick out now, several feet from the house, will just go onto the side of the house. So from the street, there will be almost no change.
It's just a difficult one for us because it is such a heavily or not landscape, you know, that there's a lot of
Growth.
brush.
There's a lot of
and
growth.
trees. A lot of greens. So it's difficult for us to see what's existing and be able to make an assessment. So just if you can include, and we don't need full-size pictures, if you can drop images into,
the city will do that.
Yeah.
the city will do that?
The city will make,
Is that what you
now,
usually
we'll
do?
make copies
I've
and
got
get you
the
back.
photos.
okay, it'll be
So
part of our
so
packet
the
for next.
pictures now, don't help?
No.
Well, they'll
We
just
haven't
make
seen
copies
them.
for all of us so we can see them. We have to talk about this next month anyway. But the encroachment alone, I think, is a no-brainer there, so,
Well, and if I understand as well, there's currently a contingency on selling that property.
We would like to.
Is
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
that contingency, is that's encroaching? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think this actually only confuses things a little bit for me, because when I went by and looked, the application doesn't show at all where the sunroom is, so I had to actually go by the house and go peeking through things, oh, there it is.
You can see the
But
roof.
then I found, online, okay, because of, selling the house, you had these great pictures. So what I'd like answered, I think, by the next time that we do this, is that when you take that it's a big sunroom, take that sunroom off, you're gonna have a big gaping hole in the house. And then what you just handed us looks like a shed with a roof. And I'm thinking, I don't get that. Wouldn't it be just the side of the house? And are you gonna have any
Well,
windows?
That is the side of the house, so the sunroom has a roof that,
Correct.
just like you see on there. So when that's taken off, so the siding, the aluminum siding that is on the rest of the house, when you take that off, it will come off in a roof shape. That siding is not underneath that sunroom. So when it comes off,
There's
that,
gotta be a big,
house-like structure will be what's left.
Is that it?
And
but you're not gonna
That's
leave
the
it as a
existing.
house-like structure. Are you gonna
no,
make
it'll
it
be
look
flat.
just?
It'll be flat.
That's the existing.
Okay,
That's the
so that's what
existing
we need
drawing.
to see is
That's
what,
what it will look like.
It will look like.
It'll look exactly like the existing, except it won't have windows all the way across, it will just have two windows.
So,
but it won't have this,
Yeah, it will, because the siding, the aluminum siding, does not go straight across.
Yeah, the sunroom is attached to the side of the house like this, so you've got the gable.
oh, I understand
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
I would imagine all that's coming off.
so when
So
when you
why
come
isn't-
back, next month,
Why can't you reform it so that the side of the
Is
house
all
is flat, like the original house would
Because
have
You
been?
can't match that aluminum
Aluminum
siding,
siding.
and I don't know when that was put on, but there's no way you'd be able to match that color.
but that's, so
You're gonna
I'm
have to
still going,
do
that,
something in here
that
anyway.
is how you want it to look after the sunroom's
Right,
gone?
It'll look exactly like it does with the sunroom, except it'll be flat.
And that's how it will look.
That's how it will look. So if we have cedar shingle on the sunroom now, the cedar shingle will go on the house. And there will be just molding there where the roof line is, because we cannot put,
But I thought you said there was aluminum.
the house was clad in
Aluminum
aluminum siding
siding.
sometime we bought
You-
it with clad in an old,
Yeah.
aluminum siding was put on, it could be 70 years old for all I know.
You could patch that aluminum siding. That would be tolerable.
No, there's no
you could add it to patch it in if you wanted it all aluminum siding and then paint it all. I mean, you know, it's permissible. You can't put new aluminum siding on a structure, but if you're doing repairs,
Yeah, we'd rather not put aluminum siding there. I think it, you know, just, we want it to look exactly how it looks now with the sunroom. You know, it's just will be flat instead of, a sunroom sticking out.
Yeah, and I guess my concern with that is, we're really trying to maintain the character of the houses. And the house would never have had that kind of character on the side of it. In its original, it does now because that sunroom was there.
And this
So-
just, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
This does not, and I understand you asking about how this could have been approved, being on the separately deeded lot back in 1986, but my question would be, do you know that it was approved?
No, I don't, actually.
86, there was no approval
HPC.
process.
And it doesn't.
Well, I'm not talking about
it-
H Park, I'm talking about
No,
in
yeah.
general, like, it's
But-
possible that it wasn't approved. which
Whether somebody
bear-
from
it
the
makes no
city,
bearing on us.
We can't
What-
go back and
God.
verify the
Right.
building permit from then.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, that was,
It does not matter.
No.
Been there for
It's
many years.
illegal. Okay?
right.
So,
I was just making the point that, yeah, it doesn't
Okay,
matter. It
yeah.
may not,
It's
Thank-
illegal.
it may not have been
Then
approved.
do we need the public hearing? I mean, if it's illegal, we're looking to take it.
well, I defer to the attorney on that one.
They, you know, the side of the house will be restored to the original footprint. We cannot match that old siding. I don't think you want us to match that old green siding. Right now, it's got
Actually,
cedar
I would.
shingle. We'll just put the cedar shingle on. It will look exactly like it looks now, but with two windows instead of a whole bank of windows.
So it sounds like, for the public hearing that you're gonna get ready to schedule, that you'd most likely do at your next meeting, which would be May 2nd at 6 PM, that you would like the applicant to provide maybe a little bit more information, and we'll make sure the photos and the other things get included into the packet, to address some of the concerns that have been brought up tonight. Is that what I'm hearing?
And John can help you with that.
Yeah, if you could be really clear on what more information you need from me.
Well,
Maybe a color rendering?
no, I
No?
don't think so.
Okay.
I think this photograph is really helpful, you know, to show, you know, that wall is gonna be pushed back. I think it's gonna look very strange on that big green wall. I think, you know, if you wanted for aesthetics and for selling, I would think you would patch in some material, the green siding, and then do a quick paint job on that wall. I think this is, aesthetically, I just don't see how shoving that wall over is gonna help you.
I agree with Barbara, and also that,
And also that it doesn't, you know, if you can view it, you know, assuming you can view it without the foliage and with the fence, then we're not excited about it either, because it doesn't really help the contributing structure. It's a non-contributing entity that you're now attaching to a contributing structure. It is not compatible with that structure. So I think we'll have that kind of conversation before we do any voting, just as a heads up.
Okay.
and, you know, just as a general observation, that, it might not, what you're proposing also may not be the cheapest solution to something that just patches it up and continues the green wall, seems far more appropriate, because, yeah, I think we can safely assume that the lot is for sale as well, and that we are all going to see the side of this house eventually. So I would think just proposing something that looks as similar to what the house looked like. And since you're not asking to replace the siding, there's no requirement to upgrade it to a different material, so bear that in mind. So I think something that's just more incompatible, it sounds like, would be
Yeah,
more acceptable to the commission and adhere better to our guidelines.
I think she's got it.
Yeah, I think that was my issue, is that, yes, there was some, let's say, damage done to an old structure, you know, something like that was not architecturally appropriate for this house here. But I don't know that sort of two errors like that make it any better. Because when that lot sells and fences come down and they will be visible, but it'll also be visible to your neighbors. But this sort of flat thing with the peak is not appropriate for that house. And so I'd have you reconsider and of just continuing that aluminum siding, painting it, and.
Or filling it in with another material that could be painted, some treatment to that wall that looks like the siding continues, as it would have before. Take it back to how it would have looked before the sunroom.
Yeah, before the sunroom.
Okay.
All right. You would like to come up and speak?
So,
Just say your name real quick.
Leanne Wilkinson again, 2020 Savannah Circle. Okay, so if, because I'm here to help her.
Understand.
If, so it doesn't have to be aluminum siding, although I do think you can get aluminum siding.
I think you can patch it in.
Because it's not the little skinny aluminum siding, it's like the big aluminum siding. So, and then potentially paint it to match the green that's on there.
Or one cheap single coat to freshen up the whole building even, or that
Right.
side.
That side.
But what about the windows?
We don't know where windows go.
Well, I mean, she was gonna take two, there's like 4 windows there, right, Beth? She was gonna take 2 of those windows and put them there.
Well, 2 windows from a sunroom that don't match the windows in the existing house. Is that right?
Exactly, that's what her
That's-
plan
no.
was.
Yeah.
Okay, so before she comes back and, I mean, I just wanna make sure that at the next meeting,
Yeah.
she can hopefully get approved for something to do, because until this comes off the side of the house, she can't close on the lot, okay? So she needs to be able to close on the lot, and the sunroom has to come off. So what is it that you want to see there? If you would tell her now what it is that she wants to see, then she can say that's what she's going to do at the next
Do we have
meeting.
pictures of the side?
Probably, I think I understand.
Windows that match the rest of the house.
But like one window would probably be good. It's not a very big
Match-
space.
What kind of pattern do you have on the second floor?
I don't know, I need to get my pictures
The
back.
sunroom is actually bigger than the opening into the house.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I think
It would be-
double
I mean,
hung,
we
a double
don't
hung
wanna
window.
renovate the house, and,
No.
you know,
No.
it really only will fit one window in there.
Right.
You know,
I would-
two on the
Okay.
sunroom
But-
side. So
Well,
otherwise, we would end up having to tear out walls.
if
to
you-
put windows. So
yeah,
we
if you-
cannot match the windows
If you could
upstairs.
come back with a drawing of that and where that one window would go, and you're looking at a 1/1 single.
A double hung, I think,
Double
versus
hung.
the
You got a
modern
double,
casements
yeah,
that
you
are
got a
there on
double
the
hung on the
porch.
second floor.
So,
Yeah, so like
So
the
just
same
drop
kind
one
of
down.
window that's above it, just
just
one
match it
down
right
there, just
below.
one window
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And the matching size of the aluminum siding that can be painted the same color,
yeah.
and
Now,
then
you
that's
actually-
and
good.
then, I
This-
think you got it.
Now, this is, where is this? This
That's
is
the
not the,
side.
this is
That's
the
the
sun, oh,
back.
this is the sunroom. So on this picture, it shows there's a pair of windows up there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the sunroom is actually bigger than the hole into the house, the opening into the house.
So,
Well-
I mean,
If you look at the booklets, did the booklets get passed around? There's a picture of the,
Yeah, there's some inside pictures, you guys, in those little booklets that I made.
Yeah.
the opening
That would
into
show
the
you.
house, the door into the house from the sunroom is actually smaller than the sunroom. So therefore, we cannot put 2 windows down
So we do
below
have
the 2 windows. There's not openings into the
There's a
house.
bunch of
yet.
these, so we do have.
but
We
there's
do
a
have
wall,
pictures.
that- I mean, according to this, at one time, before the sunroom came on, there, the exterior wall would have,
Larry.
In order to match the windows up and down, we
Yeah.
would have to then cut into, we'd actually have to start renovating that wall, into the house. And I think if you look at the sunroom
Because they've already
pictures,
closed it off.
interior pictures, you'll see, that part, when you're standing in the sunroom looking into the house,
This
there
picture.
are bookshelves there.
Shane.
Yeah, they'd have to do more than one window probably there, they'd have to like then take out these bookshelves.
Well, the bookshelves are
Well, bookshelves are
Right,
going
that's
anyway.
true, the bookshelves are coming out,
That's
but you'd
all,
have to
yeah.
cut into the
We'd have
wall.
to cut into the wall.
You'd have to
and
cut
then
into the wall,
wall would
right.
not necessarily support the windows, and we would end up having to renovate. I mean, we're looking at a much.
It would seem when they put the sunroom on, they probably took a window out, and then the other window is what's now open to the house. So they probably closed off a window in there somewhere.
Right here where the bookcase is.
And so to match them up and down would have to mean
So maybe-
ripping into a new wall that's been in there in another room now. So
There's also, I don't know if I'm walking down a code issue on this, or if I'm getting out of H Park, but, I'm looking at these pictures that show the deck, the sunroom, and then the addition on the back.
That's the sunroom, yeah.
Well, no, the side sunroom, and then there's an addition on the back of the home, correct?
Actually, the addition on the, we understand that is not an addition, that
Oh,
was the
okay.
original home.
The brown,
addition, the front of the home was the addition.
this is the sunroom.
The original, we were
Yeah,
told
yeah.
that the original home
I don't know
was
the
built
deck I got.
sometime in the late 1700s or early 1800s. It's got peg and beam and chipboard floors, et cetera. The
I
middle
think the
part of the house
description
was
Larry, do you wanna
the
see it?
of the
1850s,
house
the
actually
front
says
of
a
the
little bit of
home
that.
was the
I think we
1890s.
did see these.
So my
There's no
only,
addition on the back.
my only question is, looking at the survey, and seeing the encroachment, and seeing the rear, so the rear original structure, there is a side door there. And just safety-wise, when you remove that deck, is there enough room to be able to put a stair or put something so that it's not just
It's a ground level deck.
it is,
According to the survey, it states it's a ground level deck, which if it's at the level, there's no stairs needed.
all right. It looks like it's probably,
We're at most one
One
step
step
okay,
down.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Is there,
That's what it
is
looks
there
like.
enough room for that? I don't know what the setbacks are.
There's at least, we'll have to look at that, but that's not an H Park issue. It
Okay.
sounds
Sure.
like what you're looking for is you're gonna schedule a public hearing for May 2nd, and you're asking for, a drawing showing one window, a double hung window, and matching aluminum siding in the same color, for the next meeting, so then they
Yeah,
can make a decision.
I think the objective is that when the sunroom goes away, which is what you want, is that the side of the house looks as close to the original as possible, whether it's 2 windows on the ground floor to match or 1 window underneath one of the windows. But something that visually is going to help sell the house, and decide, how much do you're going to have to put some money into it to get it ready for market, and then just decide. But at least 1 window and matching siding.
Is there a requirement on the material for the window?
Well, it should be compatible with the existing windows.
Other
Was
than
it
you wouldn't
Ander-
require
Anderson-
those existing
Ander-
windows anymore, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Anderson
do they-
400.
Do they have to?
No, you don't have to
Can
go-
they be vinyl? Can they be a high-quality vinyl? Is there a requirement on what that window
We-
is?
I-
We don't have the double hung window, we would buy that, of course.
Of course, yeah. Who knows what the buyer will do? They may put all new windows in. I don't want to have you, if all the other windows are old and not of great quality, then buy something that's compatible, that will look,
Look compatible. but
look
there's no
compatible.
requirement that it has to be a certain material.
not in this condition.
Okay.
There should not be. This is not to be a burden on you. This is
You
to
might
help
find one
you.
at the restore.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And I might say that if it is the one window, in other words, because I can understand why you wouldn't have 2 to match, but the one, if it were aligned with the one above it, would be, what would be, so you've got 2 windows here. The one is probably the one towards the front of the house, I would think, is where the hole is, that where you right now walk into the sunroom. So that's probably where that window would be. But just so that it's not 2 here and then 1 in the middle, or off-center somewhere that looks kind of
It has
odd.
to align
Because that
with
isn't
one of
what
the windows.
would have been in the house when
Yeah.
it was originally done. Well, you could look at the other side of the house and probably see.
Yeah, we just-
Unfortunately, we don't have any pictures showing that side of, we don't have any pictures showing the original house. Maybe there's some,
No, but what you have here, looking
you-
at
you can
the
tell.
right side of the house now from the street has 2 windows, but they are lined up.
Yeah,
Just
so,
to-
I think the idea is to see you can get the most bang for your buck.
Buck.
I mean, the visually, the best thing would be to put two windows that align with the two on the second floor.
Because that
That's-
is what's on the other side.
That's what's
And
on
that's
your
how the
side.
Yeah,
house
that's
would
what's on the
have looked
other side.
originally. But if you feel you can only afford to do one, then do one. Just make sure it lines up. Yeah.
Can I just make a point, that where the other side is not the same, part of the house. What's on the other side is a big picture window that was probably, obviously put in by a previous owner.
On the
Yeah.
front portion of the house.
The middle, so
Now,
the
look-
sunroom is on the middle of the house, and on the other side of the sunroom, the other side of the house is a big picture window.
Also inappropriate for the period.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Yeah.
two windows.
That's the front of the house that you're looking at, and
Okay,
the
and this is the-
sunroom is not on the front of the house. It's
Okay.
not on the other side of the,
I
where you're seeing
understand.
those windows. It's,
Yeah.
so what's directly across
It's on
from
the
the
front of the
sunroom
house.
is a great big picture window
Mhm.
that was also put in by a previous owner.
Okay, well, you've got your work cut out for you. But it'll be well worth it, you know. Curb appeal's important, right, Leanne? Yeah. So we're set for a month from now, or, our next meeting. We'll have the public hearing, because we have to, and then we'll review whatever you're doing.
Could you
Okay,
take a motion, take a vote on the public hearing date?
There's no motion or vote
To
for the
create-
Oh,
public
we
hearing.
already did.
I'd
for
like to
previous
make,
one, not for this one.
I'd like to make a motion.
No, we don't
We
have to.
don't, we just schedule a
Just
hearing.
schedule it. We don't have to
Just
make a
schedule.
motion for a public hearing.
Okay, we don't.
It's already been scheduled. Has it not?
No,
Oh.
no. You've been in discussion the whole time. You haven't, there's been no action to schedule a public hearing yet.
Take it away.
Oh,
So,
I thought you said we didn't need a motion.
no, you do.
Oh,
You do.
didn't. Oh,
You-
okay.
you
I'm
always
sorry,
have.
Deborah.
You've always
That's
made one.
okay.
All right.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to schedule a public hearing for contributing building at 507 Kings Highway for the removal of a sun porch.
You're good.
The end.
On May 2nd at
On May
6 p.m.
2nd at 6
Of May 2nd at 6 PM.
Second, the motion.
All right, and we're doing this because this is a contributing structure in the historic
In
district.
the historic
Yes.
district, in the tax map 335-8.11-157.00,
Yeah, this too.
and it's kind of confusing. Do we include the other lot
No.
number as
No,
well?
no, no,
Okay,
no, no, no.
just the one the house
We're
is
only
on.
looking at this.
Yeah, that's okay. You don't need all those numbers. We said that in the beginning.
Okay.
We're just, what we're doing is we're just confirming that why we're reviewing it, and this is on the back of your binder.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, we have a motion, and did somebody second it?
Yes.
Okay, and now and so Deborah, you made the motion, you can,
Don't we just vote?
Can we just
This
vote?
We
was
just
just
vote.
up and down.
okay, up or
All in
down?
All in favor?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? No, okay.
Any comments?
Any comment? Any additional comments from the audience? You're the only one left. No comments? Okay. All right.
Thank you for the additional photos. That's
Yeah, that was
very
really helpful. Do you want all these back, all these photos back?
We want them all back.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll make sure they're part of the packet for next
So
month.
the packet goes in.
Keep that packet, yeah, give us back whatever you want us to give us back, and then we'll just make it, because we
Well, I
didn't
get
have enough of the binders.
Another packet for next month?
We'll just give it back
that
to you
was
if you
my
want.
I
Or
think
you-
she wants all the pictures collected at this time.
I don't have enough binders, and the original photos, I only had one set of.
Yeah, I figured
So,
that probably should be in there too, because she handed that to us.
'cause I think we had 4 copies, and I just want to make sure.
Almost lost my agenda.
Yeah, that one's for the other one, we'll take that.
This is for Graulich.
Okay. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Now, moving right along. We have, what time is it? The rain, oh, it's only 7:15.
Oh.
Goodness, got a lot to do.
I just got a text saying it was hailing earlier. out.
It was.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, great.
I don't hear anything.
Not
Must
now.
have
Oh, no,
passed.
it was,
Earlier,
Oh,
when it was thundering and lightning.
and then the power was flickering?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a lot of standing things on the unfinished agenda. So the first item is the review of the completed historic district resurvey, which was 2015 to 2023. I was curious, anybody tried to access any of that on the city's website?
I did.
You did?
Not on the city's website yet, no. I didn't realize it was there. Hey, great.
And I would like to commend Janelle for getting it up there very quickly, and in addition to also getting the 1977 original survey that established the historic district up. It's there as well.
Wow,
It's all on the website.
thank you.
Yes, okay. Any tricks to accessing it or finding a particular property you're interested in?
I followed Janelle's directions.
I would just, if you go to the Historic Preservation and Architectural Review Committee webpage, and then you scroll down under Architectural Surveys of Historic District, it's so you have the survey report is there, and then the second one says the architectural surveys of individual properties. And you just have to be patient, very patient.
It takes a while to download.
It's a huge
Because it's
document.
about 700 pages, so it just takes a minute or two to download. And then when it does, it starts with 203 Abbott Park, but there's a little magnifying glass. And if you click on in there, and you can type in an address, and if it's in there, it'll find it, and you can just,
It'll slowly
That's
go.
excellent, excellent. Did
just
you
don't
say,
type Savannah, you'll get it a lot.
did you say committee?
Commission.
You, okay,
It might have come, it was not intentioned if I said committee, it's commission.
okay. all
Sorry.
right.
But as you can tell, it's taking a while to
Yeah.
download, so just be patient, because
It's a lot of stuff.
it's a lot and it's large. So there it is, and you can see the little magnifying glass in the corner.
In all in alphabetical order,
And if you pick,
It's in alphabetical order
it
by
is,
street.
by
and then
street?
again,
numerically by
Blue
street.
put in Savannah, and
You can just put in an address,
Address.
You can type-
324. I put in my own, 324 West Third Street.
Call it out, what's your address on
It-
Third Street?
324 West to Third Street. You just put it up in there and it'll go right to it.
yeah, and see, it's taking a minute, because it's gotta go
It's a
through.
huge document.
It is,
If you download it to your computer, it'll go a
Go
lot
a lot
faster.
faster.
yes, because right now it's trying to go through the
How
server.
much memory spot do
You
you
can
need
put
on
it, you
your?
can put it on an iDrive.
Oh, it's nothing on your computer. It's West, and then it's Third, 3RD.
And West is spelled out, is that?
West is spelled out, but the 3RD we found is very important in
Yeah,
computers.
instead of the word.
And actually, if you just put in 324, it will pull up any 324s, and there's very few of them.
Oops, there's 109.
That's not it, that's Madison, so those.
Yeah, but see, it's picking up anything that has
Oh, it's picking up the
324.
CRS number, yeah.
Yeah, so it's picking
That's
up
right, I
the,
remember it did that.
There you are, 320.
But yeah, there's like
There's Market,
20
there's
for it.
Mulberry. Going alphabetically through everything, I would think.
It's just going by the number.
It's Third Street eventually. There we
There.
go.
Oh, so
That's
it
all she
was,
put it- that's
there
all
was
she
a
put in there,
period.
was the number.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
So
that's,
sometimes
It
you,
was
Let's see what
W
his house looks
period.
like. Let's see what his house looks like.
scroll up so we can see
Scroll
the
up so we can
photograph.
see-
thank you,
It's
Blue.
very-
Nice house,
It's
that's
very,
yours?
very historic.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice house.
yeah,
That was
it's
a-
older than me.
That's, the story was that it was originally a BB.
It was Dr. Marvel's.
Or
It was
Dr.
Dr. Marvel's
and it was moved there.
waiting room.
And it was moved there.
It was moved there. It was a grocery store / restaurant for the African-American community for a number of decades. And we think we found a picture in the archives
Oh,
of what it looked
wow.
like. It was really in rough shape, but about 3 lots away. And then Dr. Marvel moved it.
Was it in like where the Shipcarpenter Square is? Was it in?
No, the other direction. It's
Towards,
so
towards,
towards Mulberry Street.
oh,
Not on the corner, but the next lot in.
all right.
Very nice.
Mhm. What's very interesting, and I thought something that we need to use as a, look to use as a model, is the fact that the addition on the back, you can actually pick up the little peak on the, over the ridge line of the historic one. But you drive down that street, you cannot see that addition. Because what they've done is instead of doing a full 2-story,
There's a
they've done
connector.
dormers. And,
Yeah.
you know, they still picked up that essentially
Second
second
floor.
floor space. And then they've also done a
Connector.
sensitive kind of a connector,
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
so, which is what the Secretary of Interior
says.
tells us to do all the time, is to actually identify
Yeah.
the, you know, the historic old from.
From the new.
And the new has to be compatible in scale and materials and blah, 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 blah.
Aren't you glad your house
And
is
this
done
is
right?
a slightly older picture because what we then did was constructed a fence, an appropriate fence, right where the old house stops.
Right.
So to the eye, most everybody just sees the old house, and they barely even notice in the back.
And
which
they
is
say, how
fine.
can you possibly exist in that little old house?
Yeah, well,
Do you just have a kitchen and a bathroom, is that what you have?
yeah,
May I
it's
ask
only,
a question
it's a
at this
2-room
time,
house.
please?
Yes,
I seem to remember that in the discussions during previous meetings about the survey, the resurvey, et cetera, there was a discussion about the need for making the survey results searchable and available online, and that there was going to be some cost associated with doing that. Does what Janelle has accomplished, does that satisfy the need?
I think you have to, the way this works, I understand, correct me if you think there's other ways. We know the address that we're looking for. But if you want to, suppose you don't know the addresses and you're just looking for our houses on Second Street. We can't do that. Or if you have other ways that you want to question it.
But, well, we did find by using 324, it was searchable that way, and it brought up all streets with 324.
You would get
So-
one at a time, but you get all the
Right, you
Second
get
Street
there.
addresses.
If you just put
You'd
in
get it.
Second Street?
If you put in Second Street as your search.
If
In
you
fact,
put
if
in,
you searched, what's a Victorian,
Yeah,
boop, you would get all the houses that have that in the description.
Do you?
Or wood
Yes.
clad, or,
Right.
so I typed
Yeah.
in Second Street and I got 167 results.
Right.
there's not 167 houses on Second Street.
No, but the
No.
word second, and then if there's a second story, it's
Right.
second ST, so it picks it all up. So it's referencing what it can
So I
find.
think perhaps what we need to do is maybe have some guidelines to make it more user-friendly. Some instructions on how to search. That would be something that's.
It's just a searchable PDF, right?
yeah,
that's
searchable
what-
PDF.
I know, but, people could get pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
And if you want it to be user-friendly, then you have to approach it,
Right, but I think
you have to dumb
we
it
need
down.
to acknowledge that people who work with computers all the time and with this kind of filing, that they're going to be pretty savvy and able to accomplish what they need to accomplish.
Well, that's
Well-
not, but some people aren't that way.
And I think to Barbara's point, it's, sometimes if you get too much information, that can be overwhelming. It's like, I'm just looking for Second Street. So I think this is a good start.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was Michael a few months ago mentioned some other state
Mike
or
De-
city
DiPaolo.
Mike
Right.
DiPaolo has worked
that
on
had,
this.
that had something that was a little bit more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can work towards that, I think that would be a good goal.
It'd be a real plus for the city. I know you're just
Yeah.
looking to save the city money.
No,
No?
well, yes, I am, but I'm
Yeah.
also trying to, if this could really accomplish what needs to be accomplished, then it's an opportunity for you all to, this is a rollout. This is an
Yeah.
opportunity for you all to not quietly make this addition to the website. You all need to promote it, is what I'm suggesting, because
Right.
part of what you're about is trying to educate the public and the property owners about what they have, what they might be acquiring. And getting this kind of survey information out there is a really important first step, I believe, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and
You know,
I think
I'm
you
wondering
can have
if,
two tracks there. I think, yes, we'll educate the citizens about how they can access this now. But I think that it is imperative that it's a goal for us, whether, I'm not saying tomorrow or the next day, but sooner rather than later, to have something a little bit more sophisticated. And I think all you need to do to start that process is find out whatever town that was that has that, look at theirs, call them up, where'd you get it, how'd you get it, how much was it? Just for future
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
there's a company that
But-
actually does a lot of city websites and city sites, I guess. But they don't do Lewis. They weren't retained to do Lewis. And they have rolled out something like this that's pretty user-friendly.
And if I could just add, we absolutely appreciate what you've done so far. I think it's great. I think it's a good start. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
But let's improve. George.
No, George, Michael Capello and I have had a conversation, and it's gonna take us some time to kind
Oh,
of get some of
yeah,
the
yeah.
information together and try to find time to
Oh, yeah.
to work in it. And I'm
Yeah,
Blue's
this'll take
offered to
some
kind
time.
of try and tackle some of this as well.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just going to suggest something like, there'd be a variety of ways that we get this information better to the public. But, one way is the workshop, which some people attend, and usually it's the people who don't need to learn that attend. But still, you keep that up as a video archive on the H Park page. But maybe preparing a document, like a little flyer that is mailed out, with a link, with also just kind of general information about H Park requirements and the resources that homeowners need who purchase in the historic district. And mailing that out as people purchase homes. Starting initially, it goes to everyone in the historic district. But, I don't really, I don't know the best way to do that.
I think it should be on the website. I think the instructions should be simply on the website.
That-
And I think they could even be a tutorial,
That's
You
just what
know,
I was gonna speak to.
and just, keep everything in one place. People trash mailings, it costs money, and they can call up the city and they can just ask a question. How can I get this information? I'm looking at houses and I want to know more information, So
Yeah, I think having everything on the website.
I think the other
It's a great
thing
idea.
that Mike DiPaolo and Janelle were looking at too is also getting some, and I think you were interested in this too, is in asking questions about historical information on some of the applications that we've had in the past. I don't like sitting here, I can't see everything. And so has this structure ever come before us? What was the sequence of activities and stuff?
Well, and I followed up on some of that.
Did you follow up with the?
I've been
mic?
drinking from a fire hose for the first month here. I found that if I went to the city website where all the meetings are listed, and particularly if I went to the H Park, but if I type in metal roofs,
Yeah,
H Park meetings come up and all the parts of where metal roofs are discussed. And in the video, it will say 3 minutes, 37 seconds, metal roofs are talked about. So I've been doing that to get a sense of what has H Park said in the past about metal roofs. So as Tim said, you know, if you're familiar with computers, well, you search, you go looking for things. There's a lot that's available. So then I put in an address because there's a house I've been thinking about in town. So I went and put the address in, and sure enough, up comes H Park. You know, back in 2022, had a video, and so there it
Slow down,
is.
buddy.
A whole bunch of stuff
Slow
there.
down, please. Let everyone follow what you're doing, if you don't mind.
Thanks, Blue.
So what Blue has done is gone to the page where the agenda on that page. She's got the search button, so you can search. And in that, you can type in, and she's typing in something, because I can't read from that far.
It's very small. Yes, we can't either.
And it brings up everything, including if there's a video. So it's an H Park meeting, and every time the mention of metal roof was brought up, it will take you to that meeting and that video and that time when that metal roof was mentioned.
That's
Do you
scary.
think we should have a session at each of our H Park meetings where we, you know, spend, I don't know, just 15 minutes in the beginning, not at the end, but in the beginning?
It depends on how many applicants you got.
Yeah.
Well, true. I mean, we could, yeah, he said depends on how many applicants we have, but I think it could be a standing agenda item, and if we have a full docket, then we skip over it.
You just let us know.
What I was
So agreeable.
going to suggest, because this has been an interest of mine, obviously. As I said in a previous meeting, I would work with Mike DiPaolo. You know, you don't have to spend a bunch of your time or Blue's time on it at the moment. Is if I can sit down with Mike and say, what would a reasonable person want to be able to do? Can we do that now? And if so, let's make a little, you know, tutorial on how to do that. But if they can't, what did you see in other cities that was so attractive? What was so interesting? Can we do that easily? And, you know, it's one of my skills is that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, if you two want to brainstorm and
yeah,
then
because
come
you've
back
got plenty
and
of
then
stuff to do, then come back to you and
meet with
say,
Blue and
this
myself,
is
and then
what
we
we
can
think we
see what
would
we can
really
do.
like our residents to be able to do.
Yeah. And again, on that agenda, you can search for budget, and you can find
Yep.
budget every time it's mentioned, or whatever it is. So it'll help you find it. But yeah, if you two guys want to brainstorm and bring ideas, then just schedule a meeting with myself and Blue. I'm bringing Blue in. I'm sorry I'm Blue, but she can help us out, and because she's got some technology skills that I do not
Absolutely.
have.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's great, and I think
But
it's,
thanks for putting it up on the web.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And-
it's a really good start for that
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah,
And what the other thing I had been doing is looking at other cities and what they have for videos.
okay.
And one of the things I think that was really good in several cities is they say, why do we have a historic district in Charleston? And it's a short video showing their own buildings, their own history, and why is it so important to maintain this, and why do we have this commission? And I think doing something like that for Lewis would not be difficult at all.
No, and of course, you know, we've highlighted all that here and
Sure, but
actually
it's
in
reading.
sections.
You know, if
I
they
know.
click a video and they
No,
just see
I
a
get
6-minute
it.
video, they'll
I
go,
like
ooh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have a YouTube channel for the city, so it doesn't seem.
We do?
I didn't know we had a YouTube.
We have a
We
YouTube
do, we have a
channel?
YouTube channel that you can go
I
on
didn't know we
YouTube.
had a
We are
YouTube.
streaming
follow
live
it.
right now on
Yeah,
YouTube.
Yes, and
Really?
actually, so that's one of the things is that it's tricky. We don't know how many people are actually watching because we only see the people who are watching on Zoom.
So do we?
But we
know
have a
how many?
YouTube channel, so
Good.
we can create videos and link them.
Oh, apparently, according to Blue, there is one person joining us via YouTube. So
You can
welcome.
tell.
Oh,
And
zero.
it's
They just
probably-
left.
No,
I'm
Hi,
sorry.
Paul, it's probably my husband.
They checked in. It
Watch,
wasn't-
watch what you say.
We have one follower.
but they-
It's probably my
But
husband.
it's actually amazing how many times you go back and the number of people who will watch the meetings. And you know, I mean, I've done it.
I've been
to-
doing it.
Yeah,
I
it's
catch
really
up,
nice.
you go on vacation, you come back and you watch meetings on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that for Lewis would not be difficult.
That was
Yeah,
good.
it's
There we
about
go.
about a 30 to 45 second lag behind the live
Wow.
stream.
Okay, so if you don't like what's on TV, you have other options.
And it's often, for all of our listeners out there, it's a much clearer feed, and you can watch it on your television.
With
Okay.
pop-
If you have
Put it on your
streaming,
smart TV.
streaming TV.
All
A
right,
smart TV will say you don't want to watch this movie.
okay. All right, so moving along here, we have.
Okay, the bylaws.
The bylaws.
Yeah, the bylaws. So, you have a draft of the bylaws. We're not gonna vote on this today because what was posted was one of the early ones before Janelle's, comments were added. And then Michael and I had been just thinking about it and came up with a couple things I thought were important to add. So we've added those in, and you all have copies of them. We sent it to you.
Yeah, I didn't print it out.
Okay.
Yeah, the original comments were in yellow, Janelle's are in blue, and
Blue.
mine are in red.
Red.
Barbara's in mine from
Yeah.
yesterday.
So, anyway, so since you don't all have a copy, I think you need to read it. And be prepared for next month to take a look at it. I was gonna read through with you, but since you don't have it, we'll just skip over that. And I'd like you to think about it, really read it and think about it, because I need, we're pretty close to this, and especially the new folks that are on, Larry and Kevin, let me know what your take is. Does it make sense to you? Is it, are you still wondering about, well, what the heck happens such and such a situation, kind of thing? Do you think there's some stuff missing? Do you think it's lame? Do you think it's too obvious? Some of the stuff you put in something like this has to be the obvious.
Yes, so I'm just
Yeah,
gonna, council has asked if, for all the boards and commissions to look at their start time. I know you meet at 6, but I know council has started meeting at 5:30, so that's something, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying to
Well, I only
to
have
do it
one
or
more
not.
meeting anyway, so if you all want to meet at 5:30, go right ahead.
I'm just putting it out there, but you do start earlier than some, but, I'm just, they're looking at doing something like that. And I know the planning commission just had their bylaws amended, and they limit their meetings to 2 hours.
That's a good
And if they
idea.
want to go longer, which they did, they take another vote. If like they're in the middle of an application and they want to finish it, they'll take a vote to extend the meeting. So that's something you can also consider, if that's something you want to look into.
Well, I unless somebody wants to suggest 5:30, I think 6 works pretty good. But, and also, we have, the reason we're here is because of the public. And so it's, that's an unknown time factor. So I don't think we would limit, but we could. I mean, if we had, and I also think, although it doesn't say that in here, but I guess perhaps it could, I don't think it does, is the fact that at some point, we could limit the amount of applicants. Now, we had 4 by mistake, so we really ended up with 3. And, it was pretty clear that none of them were going to be issues or problems, or time consumption. So we're having, extra time to visit together.
Right.
Right,
Well,
right,
absolutely.
he says with a grimace.
Yeah. Well, I think you could have both. You could have it in your policy that you
Yes.
limit the meeting to 3 hours or something like that, or 2, because we have had contentious meetings that have gone on for hours that should not have gone on that long.
I also think, I also would like to do what BOA does, and that's that they pretty much do a limit per applicant. And I think that works pretty well. Yeah, I think they do an hour max, and that includes presentation, Q&A,
All of
and
it. All of it.
yeah, all of it. And I think, sometimes, experience can teach you a lot. And so I think, yes, perhaps we need to do that as well.
I would,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the idea of limiting, or leaving it to discretion if we want it, to the chair, if you want to end the meeting, examining it at 2.5 or 3 hours. I think 2 feels a little short on LPC even. But I do think that would create an out if it's going on and on and on and on. And that limiting the number of applicants, I think that can be tricky because some of them are easy and they're not a big deal. And I have mixed feelings about the potential ramifications of limiting the time on a particular application, only because sometimes we get into a lot of details with the specific materials and architecture that the Board of Adjustment might not be looking at that. I think their issues are a little more legal and, yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing, kind of going off what you just said. The Planning Commission, they have a bylaw. There's a Planning Commission for the bylaw that limits the time of the meetings, but it's not a hard cutoff. In other words, after 2 hours, no additional agenda items are taken up without majority vote. So if you're in the middle of a item, you keep going. So I'm not trying to pitch that idea, I just wanted to provide some more context.
Right, because their last meeting after their bylaws change was a 4-hour meeting. And they voted multiple times to extend the meeting because they wanted to finish the project.
Right. And just FYI for the commission that decorum for a meeting generally is, if it's been stated, don't restate it. Because that'll make our meetings go a lot faster as well. So if it's already been said, don't say it again, and or your chair will say, thank you, we've heard that before.
Yes. So people don't always listen.
We listen to you.
No, not you guys. I mean the public.
Oh,
you
the heck
know?
with them. I didn't say that. No, TV land.
Yeah. So, okay, so I appreciate it. And the other thing I just wanted to also ask you guys to do is we're going to revisit our guidelines, and we're going to revisit 2 things. Number one, whether we think the format and redoing this booklet, which will also be online, of course, as it is now, I think, still.
It is.
Is the fact that I find this format a much friendlier user format than I do the format of the code, which I think is,
And probably should be updated every time we get a new mayor. I mean, I knew no?
So I think maybe that's something that maybe we look and see what you need in that and what you don't need in that, and maybe you don't need that.
You don't need a picture of the mayor.
No.
Okay, there you go. Then you don't have to update it that often. Not
Right,
that we
'cause
get a new mayor
that
every
booklet
now.
doesn't actually match today's code.
Right,
So
yeah, exactly.
Well,
we
no,
had to
this-
stop handing it
This
out
was like
because
56.
while some of it is definitely viable, some of the code references are incorrect, and we do not want to be providing people with incorrect information. Because that would be unfair to the applicant. So yeah, that is definitely, if you want to look at that guidebook and come up with information, we can look at that, and we can probably turn that into a web page, or an online document, which we could take a look at.
That seems more of a priority if it's being handed out and available now, and it's not matching the code.
Yeah, we are not handing it out because
Okay,
it
but
does
it-
not match code, because
But it is online, isn't
I'm
it?
handing it out. No, just to you guys, just to you guys.
I'd like to just speak to this, if you don't mind. I think it is imperative that you all have the equivalent of what Barbara has in her hands available to the public, to an applicant, as soon as possible. I know I'm just here filling in for Joe this evening. I have attended some of your meetings. I'm familiar with the booklet. And I think that the deficiencies that are found in that booklet are really hampering your effectiveness. I think you all should establish this, I would suggest, this is a very high priority and commit your resources to doing it, and with a goal of having it done in whatever time frame you all decide. But I would encourage you to do that as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Thank
agree.
you.
I think
Thank
if
you.
there's anything conflicting with the code, it needs to be done the right way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And are we to give any, input on the draft now, or are we waiting until next?
No, if you want something changed, you need to give it to us now, because it has to be posted so many days in advance. So, or we have to get it to you within so many
10
days. So
What draft are we talking about?
What are
the
you talking
bylaws,
Bylaws.
Barbara Deborah went back to the bylaws.
Oh, okay.
You moved on to the guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that,
somewhere.
well, the bylaws, I think we want to do a back and forth. The commission needs to do a back and forth on the bylaws. I don't think individually commissioners should, be picking at the bylaws and telling staff that this is the change we want.
Right.
No, it seems like it should be taking place in this
Right,
forum.
but you can't
format.
vote on it at that point. You have, and Alex you can verify
Well, it has
that.
to be, it has to be on the agenda,
Absolutely.
yeah, in order to vote. But if we have the topic of updating, we can have a discussion about the topics. We won't vote on it.
Right, that's
Point.
what I'm saying.
We do it more as a workshop.
Right, to vote, if you go to, bylaw number 10, B, so to make an amendment, there needs to be 10 days' notice of the amendments to each member of H Park. So that'll probably take at least a meeting or two. Doesn't seem like this is the most time-sensitive.
Are you dealing with this? Is that what
Mhm.
you're doing?
I printed out the one that was embedded on the online agenda. I'm not sure if that's the same one.
Probably not.
It's not the most up-to-date.
No, so
And I
what,
printed, I didn't
so
print
what
it in
was,
color,
what,
so
is it
I'm-
like
That's
I don't know
okay.
who said what.
is it like 8 or is it,
Article 10, X.
Article, 10,
B.
so X, basic rules of order?
Correct. And
These
subsection
bylaws
B.
may be amended at any meeting of the H Park by a majority of the quorum of H Park members, provided that notice of said proposed changes, amendments, or additions is given to each member at least 10 days prior to said meeting, and appropriate public notice is made. We got that. That's been drummed into us. Or at least those of us who have been around a bit.
Yeah.
May I make one more suggestion?
Yes, I am anxious to hear all your suggestions.
Because I had the opportunity to read many iterations of the same document, I would encourage you all, as you're passing documents around and so forth, as you're changing, that you track the revision number. I'd also like to make a strong suggestion that I don't know if it would, I don't think it would work into this document, but I think you would help yourselves if you would require of yourselves and of your applicants, when they present what do you call it, a booklet or these the photos. and their-
Application.
Yeah, an
what do you-
application.
application, that's the word. Assuming if it's multiple page, I think you should require them to number the pages. I don't care if they're handwritten or put on by a computer. I don't care. But you all spend a lot of time, a lot of wasted time, holding up pictures, saying, I'm looking at this, and you're trying to get everyone here to focus. If you could refer to a page number, everyone turn to page 6. I'm looking at the photo in the top left corner. Everyone, you're gonna move your meetings along much, much smoother. And it would also be very helpful, of course, this is always, with Blue's assistance, it's being projected on your screens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's a good point. I just had one observation on the bylaws, and it relates to myself. It's under the "Why am I here?" category, which is Article 5, Responsibilities of Officers and Members.
What page?
Call
are
me
you on?
crazy, I am on page 2. I see nothing about someone from the Planning Commission.
It's in code.
It's in the code.
Okay, so it's not on the bylaw.
No, it's not a bylaw procedure, it's in the code.
But, wait a minute, it might be, you should possibly capture the responsibilities of that person
Right.
who's fulfilling
Like, should I
that.
be saying here not, do I function as, does the
It-
representative from
From
LPC
LPC.
function as the rest of the members do? Or, you know, it does say one member of city council, ex officio, non-voting member, whereas the, you know, also,
The fact that we have a sitting person from planning goes way back.
yeah, it just, maybe it should be stated in
And,
here.
well,
But she
I'm
is-
trying,
even
I'm
if it
trying
says
to,
as
I'm trying
per
to bring
code.
you up to date. So, this goes way back to HPC, and I could never figure out why somebody from planning was sitting on the commission, because it never seemed like they brought something planning to our H Park meetings. I think that was the intent originally, was that somehow planning would bring something to an H Park meeting that we didn't have. And I think, who was the fellow from planning that, he always talked about, where are the mechanicals?
Joe.
Joe, yeah, and so I thought that was something good, that we don't have on our guidelines. Where are the mechanicals? Do you see the
Right.
mechanicals from the street? A lot of historic districts, you have to have mechanicals on the back side of the
Yes.
property. You cannot have them on the side, of course not on the front, but not even on the side. They have to be on the back, and they have to show up on the site plan.
I think, Barbara, what I would suggest, and I know, well, I'm going to respond to your first statement, and that is the value that is derived by having someone from the Planning Commission sit here is that there is an opportunity for them to be at the table, to listen to your, participate in your process, when possible, contribute, but then take that exposure to this committee, to the, you know, to this commission, back to the Planning Commission. And without that, without that person sitting here at this table and participating in the conversation, that opportunity is lost. I really am committed to breaking down these silos that we all are existing in and practicing in as committee members. And I think there's a lot of value that can be derived by having someone from another committee, another commission, sit at the table with you. And in this particular case, the Planning Commission has a vote. This representative has a vote. It's possible that you all might, in the future, want to think about there could be a particular application, a particular subject matter that is outside your wheelhouse, possibly. Don't mean to be insulting you, but it could be something that you all would benefit by pulling someone in. I'm going to pull this out of thin air, from the Public Art Committee, someone who has knowledge about design, art, color, whatever it is, and invite them in, not to sit up here, not with a voting member, but invite them in for a discussion.
Yeah,
It could be very, very helpful.
And we
And
can-
likewise, they could benefit from understanding what it means to
And we
work.
can do that now.
We can
We
do
have,
that
we have
now.
a section in our code.
Yeah,
that
I
anytime-
understand. I just am
Okay.
encouraging you to take advantage of
I think the way it's written, it's more specific to like an engineer or a structural engineer.
I
or
understand.
Something to a
Architect,
building.
yeah.
But I think we could reword that so that it had a broader
Right,
application.
because so much of what you deal with is about aesthetic.
Yeah.
And that is, I frankly, when I want to talk about aesthetics, I don't seek out conversations with engineers. That's not in their wheelhouse,
Well, I thought one of our members was supposed to be an architect, and that would cover it. I mean,
I'm sorry?
one of our members was supposed to be an architect, isn't that right?
It's not supposed to be, it's
We
suggested.
saw it, we saw
Yeah,
it.
and and nobody wants to
And
come
right,
on.
and we
Nobody
try-
wants to
yeah.
come on.
So,
And it's-
so we
it's-
do make that distinction.
it's-
I think if you get too far into the art world, that
using
you
that
could
as
be
an
doing a
example.
disservice to,
Yeah.
you know, when you're talking about color.
I was just using.
Oh,
that.
yeah, I
Oh,
think
okay,
it's
I-
okay,
that was
yeah,
just
yeah,
an
yeah,
example.
okay.
I was
Yeah.
not, I happened to serve ex officio on that, on that committee, so, and I
Right.
was at that meeting last night, so
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
it was fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we'll have to kind of just revisit wherever that might appear here in the code.
Other
But I thought
ideas.
we all filled some sort of something for the town.
Yes.
I live in the historic district, that's,
Well,
questions.
everybody's now living in the historic district, except for Deborah and me and Mike DiPaolo.
well, that, I mean, just one person had to.
No,
The-
three people have
Three
to.
people, okay,
Three people have to.
right.
Okay.
But then there
And-
were other
and-
distinctions.
And our goal has always been to have at least 4 of the 7 live in the historic district. And so, right now, we have one.
Yeah, you fit it,
Well,
yeah, it fits.
Anyway.
All right.
So, yeah. So, we moving on? Is that what
Yeah,
we're ready to
yeah,
move
yeah.
on?
Any other suggestions for the bylaws?
Not right now.
I guess not. We're gonna have to, Michael and I will meet again and update it. Send me anything that you think should be added to the bylaws, or you have a question about, or don't like the way it's written, or
I had
something.
one that's a quick question. Do we actually have a secretary?
Yep,
Okay.
Yes, she's the
Michael
one that
Whiter.
does the, oh, well, Michael's the
Michael is
secretary.
the
Michael
I
secretary.
thought Michael was the vice
Secretary.
chair.
That's
No, Mike
DiPaolo.
DiPaolo is.
Okay,
Got lots of mics. Mhm.
And then you have a meeting minute secretary, which is
Right.
Jackie.
Yes.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you,
Love you,
Jackie.
Very much.
Yes. Okay, so we did already, so what is needed for the user guide is an update. You basically like the pictures and the verbiage, and we'll do a draft. But I didn't know if there was anything that comes to mind right away that the user-friendly guide that you haven't been looking at is lacking. Let me know. Look at the user-friendly guide and just send me any little short email or whatever that you say would have been really helpful if you had blah, blah, blah in the user-friendly guide. Or what you do have is stupid, or something, or whatever you want to say. Politely.
Politely, yes.
Politely, politely. Okay, and, let's see, does that cover, so we did talk about, we skipped over D3, which is the current grants that we're getting from the SHPA office, which is going to be several years, at least 2 to 3 years, depending on how much money comes in from where. And this is to put, now that we've done all the resurveying, SHPA, the State Historic Preservation Office, strongly recommended to us that now that you've got all this up-to-date data, you need to do the same thing for the historic
The National
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 Register.
Register, sorry,
It's an update to
National Register. So if you look at the current updated survey, you'll find that several of them, on the upper right-hand corner, where they say whether it's contributing and if the National Register has it listed, sometimes it has been changed to non-contributing local, but it's still contributing because maybe the house was demolished, or maybe the house has had so many changes that the National Register is still going back to the old information. And then there's, of course, lots of properties that didn't exist when the National Register was first done, which was, when?
77.
77. And so so there's just nothing. There's no information whatsoever. Now, having structures that are in our historic district and have been surveyed and are not on the National Register is a disservice to the homeowner. They don't qualify, they can't get any kind of tax credits other than state tax credits. They have to be a contributing structure to get state tax credits, but they have to be a contributing structure on the National Register to get federal tax credits, and they can't do that. So it's a disservice to them as well. And I think there's some other grants too that we're not able to go after. But it's just doing the right thing. It's just part of the process of doing the right thing.
And making the information of both the local survey and the national survey consistent.
Consistent matchup.
Yeah. So, okay, so I covered that. Also, the other thing I'm gonna do for all of us, because unless, of course, all, you know, you new guys are just so bright that you've already figured all this out, is that, you know, we talk about the SHPO office, we talk about Chad, we talk about all these things, and I think we need kind of a, you know, a sheet that gives definitions of who these people are and why, and
An
how
org
you get
chart.
A what?
An org chart with
Yes,
an
yes.
idea of why are they there and
What
what do they do that the other one
Right.
doesn't do.
And,
Yes.
yeah, and then the other thing I want to start talking to everybody about is what kind of workshops, specific workshops we have. Now, you know, we belong to NAPC, which is a national organization, and we do the online, and anybody who watched the presentation on alternate materials, you know, was probably a bit overwhelmed. It will be shown again, and I'll let you know when that happens. And it's, I think the summary of this workshop on alternate materials is that they're not talking about plastic or composition or anything like that. What they're talking about is when you're restoring or preserving a structure that has a, you know, wood trim around the exterior, and some of it is deteriorated. You have to rip the whole thing off and do all new wood trim, which can be, or can you repair that little section or bump or burned areas with some kind of composite material that can be formed to match? That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about siding and non-wood materials or natural materials. And they're also talking about, like everything else, it's not what you do, but how you do it and where you do it. So you do artificial materials on a one-story roof that's very visible, no, but what you can do is a three-story or something that you can't get close enough to tell whether it's artificial or not, and it would save, you know, for slate, it saves in weight and it saves a lot in cost and labor. So, you know, that's the kind of, you're not lessening the value of rehabilitation, you just are learning a better way to do it. You know, that can also help save funds and time for the applicant, for the owner. So that, and I'll let everybody know when that's gonna be on again. And I've got you listed, I've got the staff all listed, but I have, Tim, I'm pretty sure I have you listed too. Do you get those announcements for these workshops
Yes, I
online?
do, and I
Yeah.
appreciate getting those, and I've been able to attend a bunch of them, and I've actually found them to be very helpful and informative.
Yeah,
I haven't attended one recently, but I know I did several during last
yeah,
calendar year.
Anne Marie actually asked me to list all of Marin Council.
I did not realize that. I thought I was real special.
You are. I listed you first. Yeah, so I thought that was a really good idea. I contacted them. I said, how much leeway do I have for,
Right.
you know, opening this up? Because it makes, their information makes it sound like it's for the commissioners.
Yeah,
And they said, no, any staff, any,
wonderful.
you know, city, you know, officials, whatever. Yeah, so I know, John, I think you've listened to some of them too, and Janelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognized some of your comments once from one of the workshops, which is good. And Alex, I think I've included you. I don't know, yes, I don't know if you had time to ever participate, but yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good. And you know, a lot of them are subject matter that, you know, you may think, I don't see how we can ever apply that. And maybe you can't, but sometimes it's understanding that other component or other issue is sometimes helpful, so, yeah.
And I'm just gonna make note that I've been going through a lot of this stuff in the last month and found the listserv from the National
did
Organization of
you?
Preservation Commissions, NAPC. And on that listserv, is a similar search
Oh,
that if
really?
you wanna say restoring chimneys or whatever, you can find
Really?
it. And so heck, I just typed in Lewis, and sure enough, Warnell comes up over and over again, which I think is a great thing, is when people ask questions, Barbara responds to them and says, hey, in Lewis, we do this. And other people say in Kansas City, we do this. It's a great learning tool
Well,
to
that's,
figure out how best to come up with something that fits your town.
and I'll tell you how you get on that. Anybody who's a member, which we all are, and staff, and if you want, you have to submit your email.
You have to be accepted. You're special.
Yes. And so what happens is, you may get no emails. This is where people post things like, you know, we're adding a certain section to our code. Does anybody have examples like we can use? Or we've had an applicant that's thinking that they should be permitted to do a substitute material of XYZ for blah, blah, blah. Does anybody run into that? You know, so it's all these examples, and then people will respond and they'll say, well, here's the guidelines that we just adopted, and they're working pretty good for whatever, and something else. Now, when you enter your email, and I'll have to find out whether I enter everybody's email or whether you do it individually. I did that, and so, you know, the deal is, this is not where you post your jokes, you know, this is where you just.
It's a listserv.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so, and so you receive information, you can respond if you want to, or you don't. And sometimes it's a subject that I'm interested in, and so I wait and read through the stuff, the answers and the comments, and other times I just can't imagine that we would ever run into this, so I just delete, you know, but.
And I found it in the email where it said, you are now a member, you know, you can listen to webinars and engage, whatever. And here's a listserv, by the way. And when you click on that, it asks you for your email and what is your role. So you just say, I'm staff, or I'm a commissioner, or whatever.
So then
It was easy, and
So now you'll be getting all that
and they were
stuff.
silly enough to accept me, so. But
Wow.
again, it's
It's a
another.
low bar, huh?
Yeah, it's a low bar. But again, it's another tool, not only to learn from other cities, but as I said, you know, when I looked up your name to see that she's contributing to what
Yeah.
other people around the country think, and they're thinking, historic Lewis, where is Lewis? I'm sure they go to the map and go, where the heck is
Right.
Lewis? So I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Just making use of a resource. But it is searchable, so you can search for a very specific thing that, and see if anybody's ever brought it up to the listserv.
I'll even suggest that that could be a useful tool you might consider using if you are thinking about redesigning your, I'm going to call it the pamphlet.
Yeah,
The
mhm.
booklet.
The user guide.
User guide, sorry. Yeah, you know, if you're trying to get new ideas and the way things are presented, formatted, whatever, it would be a way of seeing what other communities are doing and take inspiration from that, borrow from them.
Yeah, Michael's done a lot of research on guidelines, you know, and we've collected a couple of them. Some of them have been sent to mayor and council several years ago. From,
Pittsford, New York.
yeah.
Mhm.
I
And,
think I remember seeing
Yeah.
that, yeah.
and that one's really good too. And, you know, that'll be another thing that, you know, we can, as a commission, we can look at and just see if there's some that we think would work better for us, the formatting of them, really. Because it's not the actual information always, although some of it, of course, is the same thing, you know, doors and windows and materials and
course.
stuff like that. Yeah, so, you know, there's, you know, even in the NAPC, the postings, I mean, nobody's looking to reinvent the wheel. everybody knows that a lot of this stuff is being done, in commissions and states all over. And so the idea is to be efficient with your time
Right.
and find out stuff that people have already labored on, and then, lift it if it works or modify it, so.
And a good example, we were at here at the library about the flooding.
Yes.
The other day. NAPC has information and so does the listserv on flooding. And then what do you do to help in a historic district when you want to save buildings that might be at risk? So it's a great resource.
And that would be very applicable to this community.
Absolutely.
And I would encourage you to bring that forward, for the H Park and for the community in turn.
Well, we also have,
That
from the other historic communities, Charlotte and, coastal communities,
Yeah.
that have had to raise buildings.
Sure.
But the thing with historic preservation is you really just don't raise a building. You have to do it in a sensitive way so you don't lose that historic character. And that's the thing that's most challenging with elevating a building. So you're compliant, but you are also making sure that, you don't destroy the historic character and value.
Well, if the budget would accept it, let's just lift the entire town. That way, it looks good. Probably not in the budget.
You're gonna have the shortest service on this. Yeah.
No, he's just gonna have the most work.
Well, actually, I was gonna speak to, and I apologize for talking so much, but.
No, you don't have to apologize. You, in the position you're sitting in as ex officio, you get to participate in any
understand.
conversations. You can ask applicants questions. You just can't vote, but you can do everything else.
Exactly, and I actually freshened my memory of what my rights were before coming, just so that I could, speak.
So did I.
Yeah. Now what was I gonna say? Oh, you know how we were talking earlier about when I threw out the idea of possibly pulling in a member from a different committee to talk about a particular subject. I would even encourage you, if we're speaking about the flooding issue, that that would be an opportunity for you to reach out to the BPW and see if in fact if they're aware of the threat that the properties in the historic district might be facing, so that their awareness is raised, and then in turn, they would begin to understand the constraints that you're working with, and that is that you can't just willy-nilly raise buildings.
Well,
But by getting people in and including them in the conversation, there's a chance that you'll be able to build a successful program.
yeah, I think John or Janelle, the city has maps, locating all the flood plains and then where the historic district lies, and so it's, that's where we would get.
I understand, but the infrastructure piece of it is, that's the BPW's piece.
And so how would that work with H Park? The infrastructure?
Well, what I'm suggesting is that if you are, for example, I'm just making this up on the, on the fly. If you had an applicant in front of you who was faced with a grade, an elevation, where their property is subject to flooding, very prone to flooding, and they were asking for, what's the solution? What are my choices? And your response is, you can't raise your building because you're in the historic district and you're a contributing structure. If that's what you were to say, then, that person might not understand that there could be, what other options are available.
How does BPW play into that?
Because of the management of storm water.
Well, but it's the flood map that we want.
I understand that, but the mechanical piece of it, the solution to actually move water away from a site could be, in fact, in the purview of BPW.
They can move water away from us, they can move
Well,
water?
drainage,
Sure,
I'm
drainage,
talking
sure.
about drainage that doesn't exist.
So typically,
I just wanted to,
yeah,
oh, sorry, you wanna go ahead?
no, go ahead.
I'm just gonna remind that we have to stick to the agenda.
Agenda.
not that we
Yeah.
go
Sorry.
too far. As
Yeah.
long as we're in the realm of training or workshops, that's.
Okay.
And historically, the commission has allowed for the elevation of houses and made sure that looks like the first floor is, contextually integrated into the house. So
Okay.
they've done
Well,
that in
then
the past.
that is a little different than what
Then
you
we-
said
yeah.
earlier.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
okay, Good,
I mean, East Market is a street that's in the flood zone.
sure,
And
It's
absolutely.
a
in the
one
historic
street,
district.
and they've,
And there's been an elevation there.
there's
Couple
now
of them.
two,
Several.
there's now
Several.
two, and,
Right.
and so we'll see what happens. Although I think there's more sensitive ways to do it, but that's more challenging to communicate to applicants. Yeah.
If I can, to the point of workshops and training,
Yes.
I did decide that I will go to the NAPC forum
Okay,
meeting in West
great.
Palm Beach in late July. If there's any support there,
Is it a late, is it
then
too
that's
late?
fine,
I
but
thought
if
it
not,
was-
I would be
is it
there. It's
Jay-
West Palm Beach.
Yeah, is it late July? I thought it was.
It's late July. It's July 31st to August 3rd. And this is the National Association of Preservation Commissions, which has a biennial conference. And this particular one, the first day is for new commissioners to go through a short course of bring them up to speed quickly and that kind of thing. But the conference just does extraordinary workshops. I think it'd be very helpful.
Yes, and every year, they do this, and during COVID, they did everything online, so it was great. You could go to all the same events, programs, workshops. And then, but this year, they're back to doing it in person, but they will still decide during, I don't know how they decide, but they decide two of the most popular events, or that had the largest mass, will be online for all of us to participate in. So, but I think it's great that you have the ability to go in person. I went to several workshops like that, never that far away, but most of mine were Wilmington and Dover. But they were really good. And then we had a couple. Milton.
Milton was early.
Yeah, Milton and Milton.
I love that.
Yeah. And so, I also want to see, make a plan to have some of the SHPO people come down on a regular basis. Definitely, we're overdue for tax credits again. And I also want to see if I can get something from SHPO that is some type of printout for tax credits. And that can be something that the city can just and so we don't have to deal with it. The city should, include that with any applicant that comes before. I mean, I think that's the right place to have it shared, along with the guidelines or whatever. Yeah, but if it ends up that we should be doing that, we'll do it. I don't think I mean, I could go on, but I think
No, I
maybe
would think
you're all
you-
tired of it.
Let's
Oh,
move
how
on.
about the
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's okay, I know where you live.